An AEW star re-signs with the company and has his eyes set on the AEW World Championship. Baron Corbin has an announcement via Twitter, and we review the debut episode of AEW Dynamite on Max. All this and more in this episode, so let's get into it. First off, let's start off with AEW star re-signing with the company. That star is none other than Double J Jeff Jarrett. The last Outlaw has re-signed with AEW. He made it known, he made it clear that he has one goal and one goal only on this run here. He said it that he wants to become AEW World Championship. He wants to leave a mark. He wants to be a championship holder. This man has done it pretty much all. I mean, he was in WWF. He ran a territory. Jeff Jarrett started his own wrestling company, Global Force Wrestling, I think it was called. He also merged, which eventually got merged with TNA. He was TNA's World Championship holder. He was the champion in WCW as well. So it is no mistake that he wants to be a champion again, this time in AEW. Granted, this is a little bit further along in his career. I thought he was closer to retirement, but it looks like he wants to get another push. But I'm here for it. I'm excited because he has been one of the brighter stars in AEW. A couple years, I think like last year he was getting a lot of TV time. He won the Leatherface Championship belt from Jeff Hardy back then as well. He was one of the best stars to watch in AEW. He had great matches, great gimmicks. So he kind of fell off a little bit on terms of television time, but he's now back. He'll be having a match on Collision. He'll be back on Dynamite for the Casino Gauntlet Battle Royale, and that will be the winner of that will get a title shot at Maximum Carnage in 2 weeks for the world title. So it's interesting that AEW is now going with him. He's not necessarily young talent or pushing newer stars, but it is somebody different that's going to be in the world title picture. I think he wins. I think he ends up going one-on-one with Jon Moxley. I mean, you never know in AEW, right? He could get his win. Same with Sting. I thought Sting was going to lose his title, the tag team titles with Darby Allin. He ended up winning and relinquishing the title. So I wouldn't be too surprised if he did at one point win the title, just because, you know, Tony Khan, he loves to give former stars their last shine on their way out. So I wouldn't be surprised if we do see him as a title as a champion at some point, although maybe not right now, maybe not in this moment, because Christian Cage, he's still next in line regardless of what everybody else is, because he has that contract that guarantees him a title shot at some point. And maybe he cashes it on Jeff Jarrett when Jeff Jarrett's the champion. Baron Corbin also announced that he is now officially a free agent. He was backstage at World's End with AJ Francis, Tyler Breeze. So at this point, it is unknown if he's going to be signing with AEW. Personally, I would not want him in AEW. He needs to be in TNA. TNA needs to sign him. He needs to give them a rub. I just don't necessarily see where he would fit in AEW. And AEW also needs to get rid of that aura of relying on pretty much every and all former WWE talent that gets released on signing them. So Baron Corbin should not be with AEW. Of course, as a wrestler, you want it, if the money's right, then you go there. I have no issue with that. But storyline wise and career wise, I would say you got to go with TNA. You got to go somewhere else. AEW is just filled with ex-WWE talent. And I don't know where he would fit in. Where's his spot, in that company? Would he just be on Collision as a Collision guy? Would he be put in a Ring of Honor? He did retire Kurt Angle, so there's some name value there. But right now, they're flooded with WWE talent, and AEW needs to focus on creating their own stars. So he needs to go with TNA. He needs to go somewhere like Mustafa Ali is making his own name in TNA. Dolph Ziggler, Nick Nemeth, he's making his own name in TNA as well, and AAA. Baron Corbin, Tom Peastock, he needs to do his own thing. And I don't think AEW is the spot for him. It's just a bad name, honestly. There's a lot of negative. The name doesn't sound good. It's not a name like, who's that? Oh, that's Cope. Bad name. Just off the top of your head, if you're just trying to explain it to somebody, it's bad, in my opinion. But let me know what you guys think in the comments. Do you guys like the name? Do you guys hate the name? Let me know, because I need to know. I want to know what the fans think. I want to know what you guys think. But speaking of last night's AEW Dynamite episode, it was the first episode to be multi-streaming on Max. So it was on Max, and there's a couple of things that we need to talk about. We need to talk about, first off, the new intro song that they used. I'm So Excited by the Pointer Sisters, which is a hit from 1982. I hope this is a one-time thing. The song is good, But is it a song that fits wrestling? I do not think so. Is it a song that probably fits the first ever episode? Yeah, I'm excited, right? Everybody was excited to see the first ever streaming episode of wrestling. But if that's your song going forward, I'm so excited, and I don't think that fits wrestling quite well outside of the first ever episode. Hopefully this is just a one-time thing going forward. But in terms of that, we also got to see an upgraded production. We got to see better quality streaming, better quality video. I don't know if it was clear to you guys, at least for me, when I was watching on Max, I'm like, yo, AEW looks a lot different. They're using either better cameras or just the image looks a lot crisper because of the streaming to Max. Let me know what you guys think, because I mean, they got new camera angles, they got new production. Of course, there were some echoes with the audio, but all that stuff is going to be fixed. This is the first time, so it's going to get fixed eventually. You run into these bugs when you do things the first time, so I do expect that to be fixed. Was it perfect pacing? No. They I know a lot of people online are complaining about not being picture-in-picture on Max. You know, people are paying for the ad-free version of Max and getting ads watching AEW. And let me tell you this, I mean, it's a live event. Wrestling, they have ads. Companies are going to want to have their ads. I mean, that's how it is. And it's nothing different than on WWE Monday Night Raw on USA, or if you watch TBS, they still have commercials. It's just picture-in-picture. But that's how HBO Max is going to be making their money. You know, the way they pay for these isn't because of people are paying $5 a month for Max, or however much it is, depending on how much you pay. They make money by ads. So if you want to watch live sports, you're going to have ads, and this is no different. The only thing that affected it for me was the pacing. The pacing at least seemed to me that they're trying to rush everything in between these commercials, because now they just can't rely on people watching the wrestling through picture-in-picture on Max. So it seemed like a lot of stuff was rushed. I mean, if there were certain spots that you might have missed that the wrestlers would have done on during commercial break, and that's one of the things I do like about WWE, is that, like, at least when you go to commercial, they wind down the match for you. You know, they have a spot where they get thrown outside of the ring, they taunt, the wrestler's just there staring at the camera for a little bit, and they're like, oh, we're going to commercial break, and then they come back, and then they're pretty much doing nothing of sort, right? And in AEW, that's not the case. In AEW, they're like having a full-on blown-out match, and they're like, oh, we gotta go to commercial, and then they just chop it off, and then you miss stuff, unless you're watching on TBS and they're doing the picture-in-picture. But let me know what you guys think. You guys like that? I mean, do you guys feel like it was a bad pacing as much as I did? I think it was, but I think this is just something that will improve in the future, because once again, it's the first time. So that will be worked on, that'll be fixed. And just a reminder that there's no wrestling on Friday from AEW. Rampage is now canceled. So if you do want to watch wrestling, you got to watch WWE SmackDown or watch the Dynamite rerun on True TV on Fridays. But either way, WWE SmackDown is going to be on. They're going back to 3 hours. But we did get a rundown about what we're going to see on Collision on Saturday. We're going to see Toni Storm versus Deonna Purrazzo, a great match. Hopefully Toni Storm wins. But we also need to see Deonna Purrazzo come back and build up the women's division, because she's just on Collision most of the time. I'd like to see her on Dynamite. Daniel Garcia defends his TNT title against Mark Briscoe. That's going to be a good match. Private Party versus Leo Rush and Action Andretti. We need to see more tag teams on Dynamite. We need to see the tag team titles defended on Dynamite as well. So even though this match is happening, I need to see it on Dynamite, but it's on Collision. We also get to see the Rock and Roll Express will be there, as well as Jeff Jarrett in action. Unknown versus who? Probably John Cruz or Serpentico. Same person, same wrestler, but it's probably going to be one against one of them. I don't like when they announce it will be in action, because it's typically a squash match. And does Jeff Jarrett really need a squash match? He's been in the business for 40 plus years wrestling. So let me know what you guys think. But me and Adrian had a detailed breakdown of AEW Dynamite. If you want to watch a recap of our thoughts of AEW Dynamite, click this video right here.